The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
First Speaking Podcast coming to you. Recording this late, February 8th, 2023. It's actually probably shocking some of you guys. I'm doing a podcast right now. Because if you guys follow me on social media, of course, on Twitter, especially at EJChristian7, a couple days ago, 2 days ago, I put out a little statement on the Twitter feed. And in the statement, it basically read that I was taking a hiatus from podcasting as a whole due to some health concerns. You guys know last week, I think I mentioned on the podcast, the last show I did, and if you do follow a lot of the work I do as well, you may have noticed also too that I'm having some back issues. It was noticeable, especially on a couple of shows I do that's visual. The Hull Up podcast, I was struggling there. You can see me on there stretching all the time and all that. And it came to a head actually on my wrestling podcast, Take 3 Wrestling, on Thursday. In fact, that show normally goes 2 hours every week. I only made it through an hour of the show. I ended up having to leave after an hour because I was in so much pain. I was stabbing pain in my back, in my neck. It was so bad that I ended up the next Friday, or next day, going to the chiropractor, and I'm getting an x-ray, which they then discovered that I had a bulging disc in my neck. So all the pain I had in my back or in the shoulder, or what I thought was a shoulder injury or something of that nature, or a strain, end up being the reason why that was strained or hurting was because my neck, the bulging disc in my neck, which obviously goes, pinches your nerves and it goes to your arms and all that. And I still have that now to this day. Where I have sensitivity in my arms and sometimes a tingling feeling. That's because the nerves are being pinched by the neck. Also, all that stretching I was doing last week, thinking it was my back and being strained, ended up inflaming the back so much when the chiropractor was trying to work on my back that I had to ice it, spend the entire weekend, and even now, icing it down. So I'll do 20 minutes on, 40 minutes off. 20 minutes on, 2 hours off. Rinse, repeat the entire day. Annoying, yes, but I need bed rest. I was put on bed rest the entire weekend. I basically didn't work last week. I basically missed all of work last week. So I basically so I do poker for a living. I basically dealt just 2 tables last week. So I'm going to have pretty much not a paycheck next week or coming up this week. But I need the bed rest. I need a bed rest. And I was told to get bed rest by order by doctor. So now another thing too. Monday I went to try to go deal at work, did 3 tables. Couldn't get through it. I said, hands up. So for the time being, I'll be doing another position in my job. For the time being, obviously a little less for money now, obviously, but better than nothing until I heal up from this injury. It's been frustrating, to say the least. Adjusting to other things, but it's also woken me up in a lot of other ways too. In a way, it's been kind of a positive thing in a way too, because it's also made me realize the importance of taking care of my health. I've said on this podcast many times over that health's important. Take care of your health. I say that, but I also don't think I know for a fact I don't implement those things enough in my own life. So with that, I've been, prioritizing drinking water, especially in the morning. First thing to do in the morning, we get up my kids to go to school. While they're going to go to school and I'm preparing their lunches and stuff, I make sure I drink a chug of water out the gate. And it's actually been very helpful because it's cleared out all the toxins, the fog in the morning. I feel a lot more energized. So that's one of the things I've done. increasing the water intake, trying to eat a little healthier, work my posture, things of that nature. So initially, the thought was I would not be podcasting for a while as I heal this up. But so right now, the reason I'm on the podcast is I realized I can still record. This can record normally in my studio. Normally, I have a studio in my house. Where I do my show, do the show, and all those shows I'll do. I have a setup, a mic, a boom setup, and the computers in there, and all that noise. I am actually recording this in my bed. I'm actually in my bed right now, staring at a TV, like literally laying down as though I would be sleeping. And I'm laying on my bed recording this. This is the only way I can do podcasts. It's the only way I can do it because I can't sit up for more than 30 minutes. So basically what's going to happen, like I said, decided to try this out, see if this works. And maybe we'll do this again. Maybe I'll do this one time and that's enough for me. I will try to do this podcast at least once a week if I could. Maybe stick to 2 times a week. We'll see what happens there. Might keep it solo only because I can't really I'd rather have my guests be able to see me in a more professional setting. So most likely I'll probably be doing this mostly solo the rest of the way for a little while. But we'll be right now, as I'm being in my bed, in my room, where I can actually relax. My back's not stressing. Because the problem is, too, also, I can't record sitting up with my neck, especially just sitting up for more than 30 minutes. And as you know, I do a Hello podcast on Tuesday with my guys, Kyle, Jim, and Matt. I do Take the Wrestling podcast with Jim, Joe, and Mike. And those shows go hour and a half, 2 hours. And it requires me. It's also video too. Whereas this one's not video. I'm telling you, I'm laying back, but you don't see me. So I could be sitting there naked doing this fucking podcast. No, I'm not. Just saying though. You don't know though. So we're gonna try to do this. And the thing is also the reason I push also do this too, especially is because there's so much going on. There's so much going on right now in sports and in entertainment and things I want to get off. I had a little bit of FOMO. Like, this is the worst week for me to not be doing anything. Football's ending. Super Bowl's this week. The Grammys has passed. LeBron has beat the score record last night. There's so much going on. I don't want to miss out. So I figured if I can do this laying down in my bed and just kind of, because all I need is a microphone. All I need is a microphone, and I'm able to hold the microphone in my hand and just talk like I normally talk to you guys, just a little more, less professional, if you will. We'll do that. So I don't know. Anyway, well, like I said, I'll do the best I can to keep up with this moving forward. But all right, let's get started. As I said a while ago, LeBron James, a lot going on in sports. Biggest story right now going in sports, and will be for the next couple of days. LeBron James finally did it. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. It's so impressive because, being an NBA diehard as I am, I never, ever, ever, ever thought this record would be beaten. Ever. Remember, it's only been twice. Wilt and then Kareem. That is it. And it's taken 39 years to beat the record. And not only that, I never would have thought LeBron James would have been the guy to do it. I mean, LeBron could score, obviously. I think his career average 27 points a game, around there, maybe. But we never look at LeBron as a pure scorer like we do Carmelo Anthony or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. LeBron is a all-around talent. Great. By the way, he's top 4 in assists for the record. So on top of being the top scorer in NBA history, he's top 4 in assists. To tell you how great he is. But it was great. First off, fuck you, Roku. Fuck you. Because I wasn't able to watch the game because I tried to get the game on my Roku. My Roku wouldn't sign in on my phone. I can't find my remote for the Roku, unfortunately. So I'm not was able to actually turn on the game. So, yeah, I missed the moment. And I tried to stay with watch the moment. I missed the moment because of Roku deciding to be a complete fucking ass. Not working. Anyway. But again, I don't think he's the greatest scorer ever, personally. And when I say that, you think it's an insult. It's not. To me, it makes this accomplishment even greater. The fact that he's not a great scorer. When I say not a great scorer, he's not a the greatest scorer in that way, but could still do this, accomplish this. And not only that, he's already beaten his record now. He's still a top 10 player in the league. By the time he's done playing basketball, he's going to put this record to shame. I don't think this record will be beaten in my lifetime. I don't see this record ever being beaten in my lifetime, especially in the era now where load management is a thing. You know what I'm saying? Players taking time off. Like, the only player I can see them have a chance to beat the record or challenge the record is Luka Doncic. He's the only player I look at in the league right now that I think has a realistic chance of beating that record. You know, I would have said Kevin Durant years ago, but Kevin Durant's had some injuries the last 5 or 6 years. That's hurt his chances. Maybe Steph Curry, but he's also had injuries too recently as well. I mean, I would have thought James Harden could have had a case, but he started his career off as a six man, and he's tailed off already too. LeBron's gonna put this record to shame. He's gonna get this record and put it away, and I don't think it'll be beaten in a lifetime. 38,388 points, right? He's gonna have about probably 44,000 when it's all said and done, because he's not slowing down. He's still, again, top 10 player in the league. He can play another 3-4 years, 2-3 years on a high level, probably play a little couple more on a lower level. You know, I mean, it's amazing what he's done. He's been an outstanding ambassador to the NBA. He's an amazing example of a family man, a father, a husband. You know, especially in the black community, especially when you want to see black athletes, especially black athletes showing, family. To me, family is everything to me. Everything to me is family. And LeBron James, you never see him in trouble. It's always him and his wife Savannah, their 3 kids, doing things the right way. You can criticize LeBron about some of the political stuff, and I get that. When it comes to the heart, the core of who he is, I've always said LeBron James is well intentioned. I've always said he's well intentioned. Great family man, great husband. Seems to be anyway. Great example of an athlete today where we criticize athletes and people and men, especially and black men, not being there for their families. This is the guy who's there, and he's built this brand and this family, not just his wife and kids, but also empowered his friends who've become great influencers in this league. Whether it be Rich Paul or be Maverick Carter. So you never hear anything negative about this guy. This is why I always, I will criticize him when it makes sense, but I'm not ever gonna go over the top, because I feel like LeBron James, for the most part, is well intentioned. So this now goes back now to when this happens, we go back to the argument about, all right, who's the greatest of all time? This is the GOAT conversation. Is LeBron now the GOAT because he passed Jordan? I've said for years that the whole LeBron Jordan argument is boring. It's a waste of time. Quite frankly, it's an insult to the league. Okay, but we're gonna do this now, since this is what the mainstream media is talking about. So why not touch on it a little bit? Just for shits and giggles, if you will. I prefer, of the two guys, I prefer LeBron James. I'm a bigger fan of LeBron James than I am Michael Jordan. Okay, my favorite athlete of all time, first of all, is Magic Johnson. That shouldn't surprise you. I'm more of a fan of LeBron's overall talent, not just as a scorer, but as a passer, as a rebounder, as a just everything he does. But number one for me is still Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is still number one for me, and that's fine. The only thing I push back on in the argument, though, is this idea that it's Michael Jordan number one in a runaway, or Michael Jordan number one and it ain't close. No, I push back on that. I think it's closer than people give credit for. Okay, I think Kareem is closer to Jordan than people give credit for. Michael Jordan number one, but I think it's closer to give credit for. LeBron's longevity, for example, is going to help it. It helps his argument. Michael Jordan retired in ~93 after winning his first 3 titles. Retired for a year and a half. Played baseball, came back, played 3 more years. Retired for another 2-3 years. I think he retired 3 years actually. Came back, Whereas LeBron James has kept going 20 years, played the Olympics. Not by the way, Jordan played Olympics twice only, in 84 and in 92. That is it. LeBron played the Olympics in 04, 08, and 12. Okay? So LeBron has played a lot of basketball in 20 years, did not retire, and play extra basketball serving his country. Just saying. But that being said, you ask me in a vacuum, who's number one to you? It's Jordan. To me, it's this simple. Height of powers, Michael Jordan was more dominant. Michael Jordan was the most impactful player in this league we've ever seen. Most dominant player we've ever seen in this league. LeBron, dominant too, but LeBron's been dominant in a different way. LeBron is dominant in the sense where it's consistent, 20 years, always great. From year one to now, always great. And that makes the argument closer. But here's the separation for me personally between the two. LeBron James is respected around the league. Michael Jordan, though, was feared. So LeBron's a king. As you see the name of this episode today. He's the king. But not the GOAT. Not yet the GOAT. But again, round number two, for the record. We never thought that we have anyone that would be even close to the argument of this. So that alone should actually give some, respect on his name. That's all I'm saying. Show some respect to LeBron James. That's all I'm trying to say here. And again, it's a very testy argument by people because people are in their camps. They have how they feel, and I get all that, man. I just think Jordan's the greatest of all time, and I'm saying as someone who's a bigger LeBron fan. But I also had the advantage of seeing both guys play. Jordan being most of his career. I got into basketball in 89, 90. So I got to see Jordan height of powers. Jordan, first year I got into basketball in the NBA, Jordan loses to Detroit for the third year in a row. Then I saw Jordan's 6 titles in the 90s. And of course, LeBron has seen his entire career. So I have an advantage of being able to say that I've seen both these guys play for long periods of time. Michael Jordan was that. Everything to the kids listening to this podcast who never saw Jordan in Chicago, who just hear the stories. It's true. In fact, if you want to know, this is what I always tell people. If you want to know how good Michael Jordan really was, ask a New York Knicks fan or a Cleveland Cavaliers fan over the age of 40 years old, and they will tell you how good that guy is. That's all you need to know. Now you know. All right. Speaking of the Lakers, stay on the Lakers real quick. Russell Westbrook finally traded. Ooh, traded. It's funny. I didn't think it was going to happen. But then you heard reports that at the end of the game last night against OKC, the night LeBron won got a scoring title, all-time scoring leader. That him and Russell Westbrook and Darvin Ham got into it in the locker room. Now, apparently they dapped up, everything was fine, but maybe it's just Robert Brook's back. But ESPN's reporting, Woj, the Lakers are finalizing a deal to land Minnesota's D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt in a trade including Mike Conley and picks to the Timberwolves, and then Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 first-round pick to the Jazz. So basically, it's a three-team trade between the Jazz, Wolves, and Lakers. Basically, the big pieces here: Westbrook goes to the Jazz. The Lakers get D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Mike Conley goes to the T-Wolves. Just on paper, I think when you compare D'Angelo Russell to Russell Westbrook, on paper anyway, but without even seeing how this plays out, because we'll know soon, I feel like D'Angelo Russell fits better than Russell Westbrook in LA. Number one, he's a better shooter than Westbrook, so he's going to allow LeBron to do some things, and whatnot. I feel like on paper it's a better fit. He's a better fit. Also, in this trade, I also don't know. I think Westbrook is a buyout, possible buyout possibility here for Utah. If he decides not to stay in Utah, he can get bought out. I saw a report that the Heat could actually get him, or Chicago's interested in getting him if he's on the buyout market. I tweeted earlier today that if the Heat, I'm okay with the Heat signing him to a buyout deal because hell, throw it to the wall. Who gives a shit? This team right now is struggling to get consistent wins. And they're what, the 5-6 seed in the East. Throw it to the wall. Worst case scenario, he don't do well, he's gone. At this point, he's better than freaking Kyle Lowry. That's a damn sure. So the Westbrook era in LA is finally over after a year and a half. Yeah, that's all I got for you there on the Westbrook front. There. So, all right, let's talk about John Morant. John Morant. Talk about the Grizzlies. First off, the Grizzlies are becoming now the most unlikable team. Let's start here first. The Grizzlies. I'm a big fan of the Grizzlies. I think what they're doing is awesome. I think they're great for basketball. They just haven't earned anything yet. That's the thing. All the talking about Golden State and we're on Golden State's level, but yet you can't beat Golden State in the playoffs last year. And then when you play Golden State this year during the season, where games where Steph Curry is missing and Andrew Wiggins is missing, you still can't beat that team. So less chirping and more focusing on the product and getting the job done. But furthermore, the reason why I brought up John Morant is this: getting a little concerned about Ja. Yeah, and I love Ja. I think Ja is a future face of the league. Top 10 player, impactful, great. But he needs to be very careful about the people he has around him, his entourage, his boys, his posse, whatever you want to call it. So, according to The Athletic, this happened on January 29th. John Morant's best friend, Devontae Pack, approached the Indiana Pacers entourage after the game. Now, mind you, there was a lot of things that happened between the Pacers and the Grizzlies. Physical game, when they call it, after a lot of tripping during the game, toward the end of the game. And apparently there was some more tripping outside the FedEx Forum, the loading area of the FedEx Forum. The two sides exchanged words and were separated by security. When Morant arrived, he, Pack, and others got into the SUV, and according to the Pacers, someone pointed a red laser at them. Now, 3 people quoted in the story believed it was a gun, but didn't see a weapon. The NBA released a statement saying they could not corroborate that anyone had a weapon, but confirmed that there was a post-game confrontation that resulted in multiple people being banned from attending home games. Now, some people didn't ban from the games. Well, John Morant confirmed that some of his friends involved in this squabble were actually banned from games for the rest of the year. All right, so let me start here. John Morant. Okay, you have an opportunity here to right the wrong. Nothing bad happened here, thank God. Gun, no gun, whatever. But please, Ja, watch who you hang with. Your friends, it can still be your boys, but if they're going to be distractions to where they're going to be hanging on games, getting in altercations with other opposing teams and their entourage, that's a problem. Because that falls on you. You need to watch the folks you are hanging with. If these people are your friends, they will respect the fact that anything they do reflects on you. You got money. You just signed a big contract with Memphis last year. Okay? You got shoe deals. You have future deals. You have money. You have opportunity to make upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars in the next 5-10 years. Don't fuck that up, man. Over people who can't get their act together. Keep your friends home if you have to. Because these people, when they hurt you, when they get into these fights and stuff, and it costs you your money, they can be there for you. Don't let these people bring you down, man. You need to watch the people you hang with. You do. And I'm saying this to you as someone who's a big fan of your work, and I enjoy watching you play basketball. But you have to be very, very careful. The people you're hanging out with. If they care about you like they claim they do, they will be getting into scuffles like this. Because these things hurt you. And you can't come back from this stuff. That's the thing. Once it's out there, I know you want to be hard and be this, tough, and I'm still this guy, tough guy. Nah, I don't need to prove that, bro. You're in the NBA, man. You're one of the biggest stars in the NBA. Your job should be winning basketball games, trying to get chips. Not trying to prove that you're a tough guy. We know you're tough, man. You see the basketball every night. Watch the company you keep with, please. It's going to cost you a lot of money. I mean, again, you have opportunity to make hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars in the next decade. Don't let people like this fuck it up for you. Seriously. Anyway, what else on the docket here to talk about? Kyrie Irving trade to the Mavericks. Kyrie Irving, oh boy, you know, he's someone, I'm being real honest here. Someone's been a critic of Irving, for years, even before the flat Earth thing and all that stuff. I really want to root for him. I really do. I really, truly want to root for Kyrie Irving. Like LeBron, I said earlier in the podcast. I think Kyrie is a very well-intentioned guy. He's not trying to hurt people. I just think he believes he's smarter than everybody else in the whole room. So, Kyrie Irving yesterday, his introductory press conference with the Mavericks. Lots of juicy quotes here. A guy who I think is a fantastic basketball player, but also a bit you say aloof, not kind of in his own, march to beat his own drum. They call that. Look eccentric at times, I guess. I want to call that. Lots of quotable things here in this press conference. Let me read some of these quotes that he had as presser. It's boggling my mind that, again, as I said for numerous times in this podcast when discussing Kyrie Irving, that the lack of self-awareness is what gets me about Kyrie. Here's one quote. Quote, I just know I want to be at places where I'm celebrated and not just tolerated or just kind of dealt with in a way that doesn't make me feel that doesn't make me feel respected. Kyrie. Kyrie, you missed nearly 50% of your games in Brooklyn in 3.5 seasons. What are you talking about? The criticisms that was levied at you for the last couple of years were warranted. All right? They were in bounds. No one said you're a bad person. No one said you were this guy and whatnot. You just did not show up to work. That's simple. I don't understand why. What's the big deal? I don't understand that. The self-awareness is it's weird. Here's another quote here. Quote: there were times throughout this process when I was in Brooklyn where I felt very disrespected and my talent. I work extremely hard at what I do. No one ever talks about my work ethic, though. Everyone talks about what I'm doing off the floor, so I just wanted to change that narrative, write my own story, and just continue preparing in the gym. And now that I'm in Dallas, just focus on what I can control. Again, work ethic. Again, going back to the first thing. You missed 50% of the games you were supposed to play in Brooklyn in 3.5 years. I'm not saying you don't work hard in the gym. I'm not saying you don't do those things. But the reality is you missed games. The COVID thing. We have to go back to that. The COVID, not want to take the vaccine, which I respected because you at least on principle stood for something. Again, I thought it was foolish, but I respect it because you did it on principle, and I get that. But you can't say that and then not show up for games. You're missing games because of the January 6th thing threw you off for a loop, and the January 6th insurrection had you feeling some kind of way to where you had to miss 2 weeks of basketball. Stop that noise. Stop it. I had to go to work even despite that. Okay? Come on. Here's some more quotes here. I'm not the person to really speak on names and go to someone behind their back and try to leak stuff to the media. That's never been me. Now I've been an audience member watching people say things about me that ultimately just fall off my shoulder. I'm really in a place that I'm grateful that I got to grow into over the last 1.5 years, 2 years. Spending time away from the basketball court gave me time to really appreciate life in a new way. I just know I need healthy boundaries, especially in this entertainment business. There's a lot of disrespect that goes on with people's families, with their names, and I'm just not worth it. I'm just not worth it. So it's nothing personal against any of the guys against front office. A lot of problems. A lot of the things, Kyrie, that you were accused of or criticized for, you caused yourself. Take accountability for that. Okay, the stuff with the retweeting of the anti-Semitic, the alleged anti-Semitic film, and then doubling down on that. That's you, buddy. That's you. More quotes here. I don't want to go into many details because it's water under the bridge now. I wished them well. I left them in 4th place. What? Come on. I did what I was supposed to do. Take care of my teammates. Was incredibly selfless in my approach to leading, and I just want to do all the right things for myself. Not to appease anybody that had something negative to say about me or judge me. This basketball game. Just, it's fun, and I want to keep it that way. Yeah, apparently Kyrie Irving does not have when it comes to self-awareness, not in his playbook. Now, in terms of the Mavericks, Kyrie, Luka, the fit, I have questions about the fit. I will say Kyrie is actually a really good off-ball player. I've been saying in this podcast, Luka Doncic needs a sidekick, but someone that's not on level. Kyrie is kind of on level in some ways. Kyrie's a free agent, so there's the motivation there to want to play better, want to be as well behaved as possible because he's looking for that next big check. Also, don't rule out Kyrie going to LA in the future. Outright, we'll see. Does this D'Angelo Russell deal thwart those plans? We don't know. But we'll see. Kyrie's a funny dude, man. He really is. I don't know if this will work in Dallas, but it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, honestly. All right, let's talk Tom Brady real quick. One of the things I missed this in the last week, because of my back and not being engaged, is Tom Brady retiring from the game of football for the second time. No surprise. He's my GOAT. It's great all time. I'll tell you what. I actually believe him. I actually do believe him. This is going to stick. I would have loved to see him go one more time. A rough year, for him, both on the field, off the field. 8-9 record. The only season in his 23-year career we had a losing record. Some in the playoffs, actually. I don't think he had a bad year in the same sense that people think. Like, the team was bad around him. Injuries, you name it. The O-line was pretty bad. But I thought Brady had moments. I think this is it. He said on it was Colin Cowherd podcast, I heard that he's going to start his Fox job because he had that contract that he signed with Fox last year, 10-year, $345 million deal to do commentary on Fox. He said he'll start that in 2024, take a year off and recharge. Yeah, I think I believe it this time. In hearing on Cowherd yesterday too, and seeing how he's been reacting last week since the announcement, I think he's in a place now where he feels more comfortable being retired. Honestly, Mike Francesa was on First Take last week, and funny quote he made here, and made a lot of sense. He said that Tom Brady is neither the greatest regular season quarterback nor the greatest playoff quarterback ever. At first, I want to say, what the fuck are you talking about? But he actually makes sense. Because if you think about it, the greatest regular season quarterback is probably Peyton Manning. The greatest playoff quarterback is probably Joe Montana. But that doesn't mean Brady's not the GOAT. Tom Brady is still the GOAT because longevity and consistency. And both guys... And he has that over Montana and Manning in spades. It's funny hearing that. By the way, talking about quarterbacks, Dan Orlovsky was double. He said he has all-time top five lists of quarterbacks that he revealed last week following the Brady announcement. he had, in order, Montana won. No, Brady won. Sorry. Brady won. Pat Mahomes 2. Peyton Manning 3. John Elway 4. Dan Marino 5. 3 and 4 might be swapped. I'm not sure exactly. Where the fuck is Joe Montana? Joe Montana's on the top 5. And then he went on Dan Patrick's show just today and doubled down on that nonsense. Are you freaking kidding me, Orlovsky? Now look, I enjoy him. I enjoy watching him on First Take and NFL Live once in a while. I think he's actually a very decent analyst. But this shit though, what are you doing? Like, really? Montana not on the list? Nah, fam. Nah, I can't roll on that. Sorry, can't do it. Won't do it. Let's talk Sean Payton. Sean Payton, officially the new head coach of the Denver Broncos, and he ain't fucking around, bro. He's no nonsense. He was asked about Russell Wilson and about whether or not he'll about personal coaches being in the building. Russell Wilson's supposed to have his own personal coach. Sean Payton says, "quote That's foreign to me. That's not going to take place here. I'm not familiar with it, but our staff will be here. Our players will be here." Ooh boy. Sean Payton's starting to light up the shit already. Yeah. One hand I will say, on one hand I would say if that should be kept between him and Russ and all that. But given how bad that year was last year for the Broncos, I don't think there's much leg for Russell Wilson to stand on. Here's the thing too, also with Russ. I'm a Russ guy. You guys know my favorite player of all time, probably in the league. But look, if all these stories are true about Russ Wilson having his own personal coach and parking space in his office and all that stuff, it's a bad look given how bad last season went for the team. Okay? Look, we can all blame Nathaniel Hackett, and he certainly gets all of the blame. Shit, Hackett was so bad in the first game of the year against Seattle, clock manage and all that. But Russ still bears a chunk of responsibility on that. He does. He has to. He really does. But I think this will be a good fit, hopefully. Sean Payton, for all the talk, is a offensive guru. I've seen him turn careers around. I've seen him turn Kerry Collins' career around when he was the OC with the Giants back in 2000. Went to the Super Bowl for that. Turn around Drew Brees' career. I see him do work with countless quarterbacks through his career. So Russ, this is it for Russ, man. This is gonna be a big year for Russ Wilson. 2023 is a huge year. I'm hoping he bounces back. But I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna put it out there. Russ Wilson's Hall of Fame candidacy could be in jeopardy if he repeats what he did last year. To his credit, now he did play well at the end of the year. Once the Hackett firing happened, I think the last couple of games of the year, the 3-4 games of the year, he actually played pretty decent. So if we can see the last quarter of this year for Russell Wilson going to next year with Sean Payton, that'll go a long way for the Broncos going forward. But we got it. It's going to be a lot of work, and again, he's probably one of the most interesting storylines of next season in the NFL going forward. All right, so let's talk Kurt Warner, NFL Hall of Fame. Kurt Warner. Apparently, Kurt Warner isn't a fan of the embrace debate world, man. So he tweeted this last week. Quote, when did we decide loud confrontational analysis is best analysis? Am I the only one that would rather analyze? Rather analysts just be themselves, or rather analysts just be themselves, come educated, bring a smart, unique take, and then let the viewer use information to decide what to believe. Analyze and educate, not to win for the question. Kurt Warner bringing the fire here. I love it. Here's what I'll say about that. Okay? I think there is a place for embrace debate. I think debate's good. Okay? There's a place for this stuff. The problem with debate today, and especially and this is not just in sports, this is in politics also too, this is also in other forms of entertainment, because in a world of content, we need to fill time. A lot of the debates today are just manufactured and unoriginal. Perfect example, I mentioned a little while ago the Jordan-LeBron debate. It's kind of manufactured. All that stuff. A lot of debates say Skip Bayless stuff. I think Skip Bayless actually believes things he says, but he embellishes the things he says. You know what I'm saying there? I think he believes things he says, but he embellishes it. I think a lot of problem with embrace debate is that a lot of this stuff is very manufactured, and it's quite frankly, it's wearing. I love debating things. I think it's fun, but as long as it's come from an authentic place. So Kurt Warner has an argument. Kurt Warner has a point, an argument, and I don't think he's wrong what he thinks here. But I do think, in a world of content, there's a place for this stuff. I mean, even in politics too. Like I remember back in the old days, crossfire between Pat Buchanan and whoever the liberal argument was. Those are healthy debates. I think debate's healthy. But Kurt Warner's not wrong either, because Kurt Warner, what he's saying is the stuff you're seeing now is pretty meh. It's pretty, just unoriginal and just trying to win it. And I'm with him. I'm with him on that. I'll tell you that much. Definitely with him on that one. So that's that. Okay. What else here on the docket? One more NFL things here. Oh, by the way, there's a Super Bowl coming in a couple days. Just for the record. But one more thing. I want to talk Aaron Rodgers real quick. Aaron Rodgers, he was on Pat McAfee this week, and basically he's saying, because obviously he has a decision to make, whether he comes back to the Packers next year, whether or not he wants to get traded. He basically was quoted saying that he has a pretty cool opportunity to do a little self-reflection and some isolation. And then after that, he'll be a lot closer to a final decision. He hasn't decided whether he's playing. He hasn't decided whether he's not going to play next year. He may actually retire. He may come back to the Packers or another team. He says it's a real thing. These thoughts and these rumors is a real thing. That's why he said, "quote That's why it's important. It's going to be important to get through this week, and to take my isolation retreat and to be able to contemplate all things of my future, and then be able to make a decision that I think is best for me moving forward, and in the highest interest of my happiness, and then move forward." Now, what he's doing supposedly is a 3 or 4 day darkness. I don't know what this is exactly, but it's a darkness retreat. He's going somewhere isolated. I don't know what it means. Aaron Rodgers is a little bit of a kind of like the Kyrie thing now, kind of a little bit of a strange bird. Again, not criticizing it. It's do you. It makes you happy. God bless you. I'm a live and let guy. I'm a live and let live guy. You know I'm that. But Aaron Rodgers also has $60 million on the table waiting for him next year. I do think the Packers want to trade him. I wouldn't have thought that a year ago, because Aaron Rodgers is that dude. I think even after last year, even though it was a rough season last year for Rodgers and the Packers, he's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. I mean, at least top 10. He's still really damn good. I think he's still a borderline elite quarterback. But I think the Packers are over him now. I think the Packers, honestly, are just over the shenanigans and over the drama. And like this shit, for example. Are you here? Are you not here? You want to get retired? You don't want to retire? I mean, it's a decision, obviously, but I think the Packers are ready to move on. The problem is, we don't know how good Jordan Love is. But I think at this point, the Packers don't give a shit. Then the Packers are saying, well, fuck it. If he sucks too also, then we're gonna rebuild anyway, because we weren't good last year even with Aaron Rodgers, so what's the point? Best fits. We hear rumors about him going to the Jets possibly. I think that's a decent move for the. I think you put Rodgers in the Jets and they keep their core together. They can actually they might challenge win the division next year in the AFC East. You hear the Raiders, and of course that's obviously the Devontae Adams reunion there with him and Devontae Adams. That's on the table as well too. I mean, you heard the Niners at one point, but he's already said that he's not going to the Niners. But of course, that's saying one thing and do another. We'll see. It's a bunch of NFC South teams that can use a quarterback. The Bucks, the Saints, all that. I mean, I'm kind of interested in this whole story, but then I don't think he retires. There's just too much money on the table. I know he's a different bird. I know he doesn't really need money, but $60 million next year. I think another $60 million the year after. I don't think he retires. I think he's back next year. I think the question is going to be whether I think the bigger question is not whether or not he'll be with the Packers. I think retirement's off the table, in my opinion. I think the bigger question is whether he'll be with the Packers or be somewhere else. That's the question. I think after the Super Bowl, we'll know even more about that. But hey, do you, man? Like I said, I'm the live and let live guy. Live and let live guy. So, Anyway, as I said, Super 57, 3 days away, 4 days away, this recording, whatever, 3 days away. Eagles, Chiefs. On paper, probably the most competitive Super Bowl we're going to have in quite a while. I think the last Super Bowl I felt like this was probably the Seahawks Patriots one from 2014. Like I said, I'm on an Eagles fan. Obviously, you guys know this. Diehard Giants fan. Hate the Eagles growing up as a kid. God, I love Jalen Hurts though. That kid's incredible. He's a great human being. He's a great leader. You don't want to see him do well. I was rooting for this guy from his college and all that. He deserves all his flowers. So if the Eagles win this game, actually, I'm gonna feel good about it for him. And some of my Eagle friends, the ones I get along with, the ones I really, don't talk shit and they're nice, and a couple of guys I hang out with like Tom and Ryan and who else? A couple of guys, Kevin of course, and some of those guys. My boss, no, I want to say I'd be happy for him, but he talks shit, so I don't want to go that far. Or of course Matthew Meelizen, who comes on this podcast, quite often. Another borderline asshole Eagle fan. I love him to death though, but good Lord. I can't for the Eagles. No, I'm a Chiefs guy. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes, of course, my dude. But the feeling I have this game is this. It's like the Niners game 2 weeks ago. Niners and Eagles game. Like, I thought I'll go back and forth. Here's the thing though. Eagles are a better team. The best player in this whole game is on the Chiefs. That's Patrick Mahomes. Okay? The best team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's be clear about that. I don't know. I just feel good about the Eagles' chances to win this game. I really do. Hope I'm wrong, obviously. I'm moving for the Chiefs. Best bet here is honestly betting the over. I think the over-under now, as of this recording, I believe is 15.5 points. I would bet the over in that, although... To be honest with you, I don't feel really strong about any of these spreads, honestly, with this game. I just think it's going to be whatever it is what it is. You just take your chances and play with that, or just do some prop bets. Yeah, so right now, the over-under 15.5. Eagles are still 1.5 point favorites. Based on feeling, I'll take... Bavard has to pick them. I use Bavard all the time. Pick Philly and the over. Of course, I'm hoping wrong, like I said. But I ain't betting this game. If I'm going to bet this game, I'll bet prop bets. I'll bet, I'll go on Prize Picks, and I'll just pick a couple players here and parlay a couple things there. But it's a stay away from me in terms of the spreads and the, at least the spread anyway. The over-under, I might go over on that one. But I do like the Eagles win this game. Again, hope I'm wrong. But that's just me, salty Giant fan, whatever. All right, what else got here? I just finished 3 days ago reading Stephen A. Smith's memoir, Straight Shooter. Question: audiobooks. Still consider if you listen to audio, the Audible, audiobooks. That's still considered reading, right? I think it's considered reading. Some people out there think doesn't consider that reading. I think that's crazy. That's crazy talk for me. Anyway, finished the book on Sunday. Being on bed rest and stuff, I had a chance to really plow through the most of the book. Let me tell you, I enjoyed it. Stephen A. Smith, I have a new perspective on Stephen A. Smith, especially now too. I've always been a big fan of his. Even in the last 20 years, watch him go through the media, and even now, I just have a whole new respect for him too. Especially the stuff that really hit for me more than anything. I might even say relate to it, but I can understand where he's coming from. Is the stuff with his father. Talking about his dad, and very complicated relationship with his father. His dad was someone that he was there, but he wasn't really involved, if you will. Married his mom and had his own other family, and kind of just took his mom's money and did this and screwed his family over, to where basically Stephen A. and his dad had a very strange relationship. Of course, Stephen A. Talking about his mom and being his world, and his mom didn't want him to release his memoirs until after she passed away, which he did. He honored that for her. His journey through doing media, playing basketball in high school and in college, and failing there, and then get into journalism and, the stories there. And then, obviously going to ESPN and become one of the rising stars early in the 2000s, and then losing a show and getting fired in 2009, come back in 2011, and, and all that. It's a great story. It's a great story of resilience and belief in oneself. And also a story of not harping on your upbringing, even though you came from challenges and stuff. And he was very poor. He went through a lot of challenges as a child, get held back in, I think, fourth grade and things of that nature. Had a hard time reading for a long time. But just because you have hardships early, don't mean you can't make it through the storm. And he's a guy, again, you wouldn't think that, but reading his memoirs, I mean, man, some things you're talking about, and some of the stories you were saying on there, I don't want to say too much, because I want you guys to buy this book. It's worth it. New York Times bestseller already, too, especially. I've been watching all the appearances he's done on promoting the book. He was on The View. He was on Howard Stern. He was on, I think Pat McAfee was on also as well, too. He was on Andrew Schultz recently. It's an interview there. I have a whole new love and respect for Stephen A. Smith. By the way, I love his new podcast, No Mercy. Gets into politics and stuff, too, which I love. Great. But yeah, get the book. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. Also, I recently, staying on media too, I listened to a recent podcast between Emmanuel Acho. If you guys know who he is, he's actually the host of not really a new show, Speak. Formerly Speak for Yourself, now the new show Speak, alongside Joy Taylor and LaShawn McCoy. And he was on the podcast with Van Lathan. Van Lathan, or formerly TMZ, now with The Ringer. He does a podcast twice a week called Higher Learning with Rachel Lindsay. Or Rachel Lindsay, whatever her name is. A very cute girl, by the way. Yeah, and this is a conversation about race and stuff. Now, both men are black, obviously. Very uncomfortable conversation, because both guys have different perspectives on how to look at race. Emmanuel Acho, churchgoer, very, very positive, guy. Whereas Van Lathan comes off more a little more militant, a little more angry. Both effective in the things they do, but I listened to that conversation, and I was left disappointed, because there was so much meat in the bone left between these two guys, because these guys got so wrapped up into how they disagree with how they approach talking about race, instead of finding ways to a common ground. It does say, though, what I will say is that the conversation once again proved that blackness is not a monolith. That's damn sure. Both these guys, both well-intentioned, both have the same goal in mind, but how they do it is different. On one hand, also too, I can relate a lot to Emmanuel Acho. His way of doing things, of talking about race with people, and he has a show called Uncomfortable Conversations with a black man. You have a lot of white people on the show, and they have these conversations. And in Van Lathan's opinion, it's more like a softball to them, and kind of like give them like a pat on the back kind of thing. But then the anger I feel a lot of times too, I can relate to Van Lathan as well too, on the inside. You know what I'm saying? My big disappointment of the podcast is this, though. So I thought Acho should have challenged and not back down to Van Lathan and his tough line of questioning. I thought he should have been a lot more, instead of feeling shocked and kind of like, whoa, about what Lathan was saying, challenge him, and he didn't do that. I just pray these two can come back to the table and have a conversation, because I think conversations like these they're having, especially, is needed and it's productive, and it's a good thing. It's actually something that we need as society need to see, So, but it's on the. It was done about 2-3 weeks ago. It's on the Higher Learning podcast. Like I said, very well worth listening to, especially a black man. I'd love to hear from feedback on it too, if you listen to it. So I was also, here's another thing here, listening to the Breakfast Club a couple weeks ago, and Lala Anthony, formerly Carmelo Anthony's wife, was the guest co-host on the show. And there was a topic on there. They were getting into her and Charlamagne the God and the host. I forget his name. That apparently marriage is no longer a goal for people. Marriage is no longer a goal for people, for single people. Let me say this right now. I'm a traditionalist. I love being married. Now, let me be clear about it. I don't have to be married. I could be okay being single, but I love being married. My family is everything to me. It's everything to me. She was saying that she agreed with this. It's no longer go with people anymore and stuff. But she's come from a place also too where she just got divorced. Lala just got divorced. A lot of hurt there. Obviously their marriage is very well public, and Carmelo had some infidelity and all that. So she's come from a perspective of someone who was married, who's no longer part of that world. Whereas for me, I can only speak for myself here, but I love being married. I love my wife. Easy? No. But I love my wife. Love my kids. And to me, my family is everything to me. My family is the very basis of what I do. I can't do this podcast. I can't work. I can't do any of these things to my full ability without my family being taken care of and fed and making sure they are good. They're everything to me. Everything. So, I don't know. I disagree with the perspective. It was good hearing some of the feedback from people that called in the show and saying different opinions on that, which is good. I think marriage is not overrated. I don't think it's underrated either. I think the marriage is what you put into it. It's work. It's a lot of work. What you put into it is what you get out of it. I think people are so focused on this, wanting to get married, have a big wedding, and not realizing that the real work is in the marriage itself. I mean, I've been married 11 years. Actually, I'll be 12 this year in April. I've been with my wife 17 years. It's a lot of work. But we do it because we love each other. We love our family. We love what we built here. She's my partner. So, yeah, I understand people that marriage is not a goal. I can understand why it's not that way, because a lot of folks, see the divorce rate through the roof and all that. I get all that. I get all that. But you gotta be in it first to have a real judgment of what marriage really is. Because only you can make it as good as you are. Only you and your partner can make it to what it is, not what you see out there. Anyway, let's talk Beyonce. Bayhive. Ooh, boy. I'm about to piss some folks off this one here. I'm okay with that. So, Beyonce fans are pissed off. Why? Because even though Beyonce broke the record for most Grammys in ever, 32, Beyonce fans are mad because, or such as Beyonce fans, the Bayhive, or Beyonce fans, or Bayhive, whatever the fucking call them, are big mad. Harry Styles won Album of the Year. Ooh, boy. Let's get into this one. So, first off, I can't claim that I have heard many albums this year, because I'm not really into today's music for the most part, especially today's pop top 40, whatever the fuck it is. But I did hear Beyonce's album, because I'm not a big Beyonce fan, but I do like to hear what she's doing these days. Like, I think her best record was by far Lemonade, that came out in 2016. But I did hear her album this year, the Renaissance album. And honestly, it's meh. It's meh. It's not a bad record, but it's not worthy of an album of the year status, in my opinion. Of course, I say that. Beyonce fans are going to lose their shit. They're going to lose their shit. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, factual feelings, guys. Sorry. Here's what I say about Beyonce. Beyonce, to me, is probably her, and then maybe Bruno Mars, the best living entertainer today. She gets her flowers. Folks, she gets her flowers. Stop. Okay? She does get her flowers. All right? But I do think people overrate her. I'm not saying she's overrated. I'm just saying people overrate her. Okay? Another thing, too, also about Beyonce, I think was in the shock some folks. Her record sales. You think she's like someone that's sold her million records already and all that? Her record sales are much lower than you realize, considering the name value. I think a lot of that, doesn't sound a little controversial here, but follow me here. And I think a lot of the reason why her record sales are low and hasn't been that great in the last decade or so. So I think Beyonce in the last 10, maybe 15 years made a conscious effort to kind of went from this mainstream pop icon where she's caters to a wide audience, and she went more urban, more black. Not a bad thing, of course, because in fact, I argue that creatively speaking, she's actually better. But in doing that, you alienate an audience. You alienate fans. You know? And I think her sales have gotten low because she's alienated a good portion of a fan base. Mainly the white fan base, probably. Okay? Put it this way. For all the talk about her versus Rihanna. Look, Beyonce's a better singer, better entertainer. We get all that. I'm with you on that. But when it comes to actual record sales, Rihanna runs laps around that girl. Laps. I know you listen to Bayhive and start talking shit and getting into feelings. Hey, Bayhive, facts over feelings. Get over it. You know what I mean? And again, the whole thing with the Grammys, too, I didn't want to come off as critical of Beyonce either, too, because with the Grammy numbers, and she has 32 Grammys, and you have artists like Michael Jackson who has 13, Aretha Franklin has 18, Whitney Houston has 6, Mariah Carey has 5, Freddie Mercury and Queen has 0, Diana Ross has 0. My point I made when I tweeted this out, too, is that and to be honest, it's not her fault here, but the Academy has added so many categories in the last 10, 15, 20 years that it's actually easier today to win a Grammy than it was decades ago because there's more categories now. You know? To me, they've now watered down the number of... They've watered down the show now. You know? So I'm not going to Beyonce, and you know... I mean, her insane fan base is going to disagree with me on that. This is just truth in this context. Again, Beyonce's great. Excuse me. Beyonce's great. Let me get some water real quick. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Clear my throat. She's fantastic. But context matters. Context always matters. You know? Be mad all you want. Your girl is fantastic, but she's not as big a seller as you think she is. Real talk. You don't like what I'm saying, but that's real talk. So, I mean, look, I love Beyonce. I mean, I respect what she does. She's fantastic. She's great what she does. But let's keep 100 here. You know what I'm saying? Sticking to music here, of course, and stuff that I'm interested in, especially Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafaar, also known as Jermaine Jackson's son, for the record, in case you guys don't know, was selected to play Michael in the upcoming biopic that's supposed to be released in 2025. Folks, this is a fantastic selection here. Okay, and if there's anybody on the planet that can give an assessment on Michael Jackson and how things should go and whatnot, I'm the guy to look at for that. If you've seen Jafaar Jackson perform and see him talk, he's literally Michael Jackson. He has Michael Jackson's mannerisms down to a science. Not just the way he talks, the way he sings, just the mannerisms. They nailed this one. And it's to boot, it's actually better they do this way because you know what? It now feels more authentic in a sense because you're also getting someone who actually has a connection with Michael. You know, Jafaar was close to his uncle. People don't know this too. Michael Jackson was very close to his nieces and nephews. Very close. That's why you see on social media when, you know, especially in the last couple of years when the documentary came out 4 years ago and nieces and nephews were defending him, you know, they all were close to him. A lot of times you see Michael with kids through the years. It's like, oh, another kid? A lot of times those kids were his nephews and nieces. Like, I know Tito's kids used to travel with Michael all the time on tour. So are Jackie's kids. So are Jermaine's kids. Just saying. But they nailed this. They absolutely nailed this cast here. I'm stoked for this movie. I can't wait. Again, I told you guys, I'm gonna be the biggest critic because I'm a humongous fan and I know everything about Michael Jackson. Like you remember 4 years ago when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and I was very critical of the movie because of dates got wrong, timelines got wrong, certain things, little things that really mattered in the grand scheme. But because I'm a diehard Queen fan, I was able to nail those down. I'm worse than Michael. What do you think's gonna happen when this movie comes out? Holy shit! Good luck. Good luck. You don't want to be around me. I'll tell you that much. Ooh, Lord. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they nailed this. They nailed this. All right, let's get a couple of these things here before we get out of here. State of the Union address last night. Didn't watch it. Saw some of the highlights. Saw some of the behavior by certain Congress people. You know, Marshall Green, for example, George Santos. And look, I'm not picking on Republicans here either. I'm not doing that. But, you know, and look, I'm not the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world. Yeah, I voted for him in 2020. But it was more of a vote against Trump. Let's be real. I'm a moderate, man. You guys know I'm a moderate. So I don't vote party lines. But you see the behavior of Martin Luther Green on last night at the State of the Union. And then you wonder why I left the party. Do you want that representing your party going forward? Is that what you want? Republicans? You want that? That's what you want? You're good with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, she literally acted like my 9-year-old son whenever he just get his way. Whenever I tell him to go do his homework or to get off his switch and, you know, and go take a bath or things of that nature when he gets disciplined. She literally acted like my 9-year-old son. Do you know how pathetic it is? Like, I would be embarrassed to be related to her, knowing how she acts like this in public. It's truly, truly embarrassing. And look, we can criticize Joe Biden all you want, and I'm with you on that, and it's certainly open season to do that. But Joe Biden was the adult in there, okay? And I thought he had himself well. For someone who we call Sleepy Joe, and he's not with it, and he may have some dementia, whatever the hell it is, he actually looked pretty sharp last night for a guy that, as people continue to say, he's not with it. I mean, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just telling you how it is. I'm telling you it is. So, yeah. The State of our Union is not good. You know, this two-party system sucks. And, yeah. That's all I got to say about that. All right. Let me see. Anything else to get out of here? Jerry King Lawler. WWE Jerry King Lawler. Recovering from a stroke. He had a stroke on Monday, rather. And he's recovering in the Fort Myers Hospital. He's doing what we understand now as this recording. He's doing much better. He's limited speaking, but he's doing better. But wow, scary shit, man. And I think this is his third stroke that we know of he's had through his life. I know he had one years ago. I know he had one actually on TV. He was doing a WWE telecast back in 2003, I think it was, I believe. Yeah, get better, Jerry Lawler. I mean, I'm not the biggest King fan in the world, but get better, man. Seriously, it's scary shit, man. It really is. All right, finally, if we get out of here, I said I want to get back doing this again on the podcast. Question of the week. I laid out a question of the week on the social media. I meant to do this last week, but because of the schedule and because of health issues. But now we're doing a show here. I'm going to run through this here. This is going to be a little bit timely, so bear with me here. Question week was this, and I have to give credit to Marcellus Wiley I stole this question from him. That was a great question. Here's the question. If you were going to live on a deserted island, but you can take only one type of food, you can take one music artist / band, take one type of food, one music artist / band, and one movie / TV show, what will it be? So I went through, I put this on social media, on Instagram, I put it on Twitter, I put it on Facebook. Let's go to first here, some Facebook responses here. We have James, who says for food, he would do Chinese food, band will be Kiss, and TV show will be Boy Meets World. Thank you, Jim. Megan says she would pick Italian for the variety. She was actually thinking Chinese as well for this reason. Artist would be Zach Brown Band. TV show would be Criminal Minds or Schitt's Creek. She says also hard to pick movies because it depends on her moods, but she does love 80s, Dirty Dancing, Footloose, Pretty Woman type movies. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Megan. All right, how about Alex Babb on Facebook? He says food for pizza, music, Modest Mouse, not his favorite, but they're up there. So no two albums sound the same, no sound repetitive. His show, he picked The Wire. Pete Claudio says organic turkey hot dogs. Mark Schultz for music, and then 24 for TV show. All right. Nick says for food, he has garlic, Parmesan boneless wings, music, Southern Rock, Leonard Skinner, for example. And the TV show will be Stranger Things. All right. Danny says food, nachos, music, Outcast, and then TV show ESPN Sports Center. That's interesting. Steve Borstein, our old friend here, he says food for pizza. I like that. Music, Pink Floyd. Shocked there because he's a big Tool fan. I think he might pick Tool. Interesting. And TV show will be The Newsroom. He's a big fan of that show, actually. All right, Patrick says for food, he'll take sushi. For music, Kenny Chesney. And TV show 24. All right. Andrew Miller says for food, he'll do steak. Music, Nightwish. Show/movie be Burn Noticed. Okay, let me see if I can find any more of these here also on my Instagram here. Give me one quick second. If I see this. Nope, not there. Not there. I think that's all of it here. I believe that's all of the responses, I believe. My boy Kevin says he picked rice and beans for food. Rock music as a whole. He said corn. For music. Then movie we Dark Knight, TV show be Friends. I like that. Let me see who else responded here. My friend Misty says for food be canned seasoned pinto beans. For music it'll be Hamilton soundtrack, and for TV show there's not a surprise here, The Office. I like that answer. That's a good one. Let's see if I can find any more of these here before I get out of here. Let's see. Nope. I think that's it. I think it's all the ones here. Yeah, I think that's all of it there. Make sure I missed any because there's a bunch that came in here that I didn't save to my my database here, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. That's all for me. For me, obviously, if I had to do this, food would be curry chicken. Easy. Curry chicken and rice. Music, y'all already fucking know. MJ, Michael Jackson, of course. Without question. This one is hard. TV show. If I went TV show, I would go Scrubs, maybe Scrubs. But I love wrestling. I might pick all the Royal Rumbles, all the WrestleManias. For movie, I don't know. Movie's tough though because I can go Beverly Hills Cop, 2, Coming to America, any Murphy movie. Really, to be honest with you. So that's my 3. So. Anyway, I think that is it. It's a long one today, buddy. After a week away from the podcast, this went about almost an hour and a half, I think. So again, I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7. Again, I don't know when I want to do another one of these podcasts. Like I said, I'm going to try to do these as much as I can. I'm recovering here. Like I said, I'm actually laying in bed doing this. I'm actually really comfortable now. See, my back's okay and my neck's okay, so I can do this. But we'll see when I'll do it next time. Maybe next Tuesday, we'll see what happens there. Again, on Twitter at EJChristian7, Ernest Weekend Podcast. Of course, all podcast catchers as well. Check out my Linktree at linktree.com/@ErnestChristian. We will talk soon. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, and we'll talk soon. Later, guys. Stay up. Thank you.